Thank you so very much, Pastor Lucas, Dr. Lucas. Pastor Lucas is our senior pastor here, but he's also, to me, a senior brother. When we were in high school, he was already at the university, and he also used to do very well in academics. So he was one of the people we are really looking towards and learning from. And God has been faithful over the years with the Lord. He's done a lot of things in the academic fraternity. You can check him online to see his contribution out there in Tanzania and in the nations of the world. So it is good to invest in your academics, because probably that's what God can quickly use, especially if you're coming from an average family. You don't have much capital. You are not a son of Baresa or a son of Mama Samia Suluhu. You don't have any name. You have nothing. So probably the brains and the mind and the academics can give you a very high leverage as you seek to impact the world. That's an area where there is no competition. You run your race, and if you're good, you just win it. There is no technological know-who. It is only know-how. What you know, you get your A, it's an A. You get your B, it's a B. There is no competition in academic space. So you can already invest in yourself, and through academics, you can move out of the villages and then come to the center of the things. Now, let me introduce myself properly. Pastor has just introduced me, but for the sake of the session we are doing here, I think I'll do justice to you if I introduce myself properly, especially with my academic journey. So I went to school in a village, a very remote village at a tiny corner of Tanzania. And what was interesting with that school was our classes. So all the classrooms from class 1 through class 7 had one similar characteristics. When the break bell goes, you just get out from anywhere. You can jump out of the window or out of the door, because all the doors and the window are just the same. It's so dilapidated, and all the walls are almost falling apart, and that's it. And we used to sit on the floor. Until you answer up a question, that's when they promote you to sit in the chair. So I did my grade 7, I passed, and I went to a secondary school at a school called Musoma High School. And I did my O-level. Until then, I was almost an average student. I used to do well, yes, be number 1, number 2, number 3, but I really don't think that I was really anything special. Now, when I went to this school, I met students from all over Tanzania, and I also met a sense of competition. So they started grading us. So if you are doing well, you go to stream A. If you do better, you go to stream B. And if you are average, you go to stream C. And when we do tests, they would already rank us. So at the end of Form 1, I actually discovered and made my mind that I think I need to pull up my socks and do well. So we did an exam called mock examinations in Form 2. And I happened to be the first all over in that region. So a gentleman from another school called Tarime wrote me a letter 3 weeks later and said, umenishinda kwenye mock. In the national examination, hautajua nilipopitia, utaona vumbi tu. So this man started creating a competition in me. Now when we did the Form 2 exams, I did very well. Of course, one gentleman from Rubia Seminary in Bukoba bet me up, because they were grading these schools in zones. So I was at the lake zone. So I also wrote a letter to this man and told him, umenishinda Form 2. Kwenye mock ya Form 4 hautajua nilipopita, utaona vumbi tu. So 3 of us started competing. So that's what started steering the art of competition in me. Now, when I was at Form 4, I discovered that by that time the government had started the so-called special schools. So I developed a desire to go to these special schools. So I targeted going to a school called Kiba. And I went back and asked, what will it take me to go to Kiba? They told me to go to Kiba, you must have all 7 A's, especially chemistry, biology, agriculture, mathematics, physics. And there are 3 combinations. PCB, PCM, and CBA. So you choose one and you have the 7 A's and there you go. So I started praying. By that time I was now born again. I got born again when I was in Form 3. So off we went. When we did exams, to cut the story short, they picked me up to go to Kiba to do a course. We were only 24 of us in that course, and we all had almost flat A's. And for some reasons, I met the two other gentlemen, and we were in the same class. Now, that class was very exciting because it gave us a very good sense of competition. We were 24 of us, 2 dropped out, so we remained 22. Now, when we did the first test, the first guy had an average of 47 out of 100, and it was, And then the last guy had an average of 43. So we said, now what do? We said, tukusanye mchango, tukamtie moyo mwenzetu kwa sababu amepata shida, amekalia darasa. This is so bad. So we did some contribution and went to see the guy who was the last. Remember, he had 43 average, and the first had 47. So we went and saw him. Bwana, ndio matatizo ya dunia bana, usijali bana, umekalia darasa bana, And we were all laughing and making some jokes. When test 2 came, this gentleman was number 7. And the other guy somewhere there was number last. And that kind of competition continued and continued and continued. So I went to the university. I didn't get much of the career advice. So when I went to pick my forms at the university, I started this way. When my results came, I had passed very well in high school. So I said, well, which degree program is very difficult here? It's very complex in Tanzania. So they told me medicine. And then other people told me, no. Veterinary medicine is more complex than human medicine. Because in human medicine, you learn about one animal. In veterinary medicine, you learn about all animals. And in human medicine, they speak, the patient explains. In veterinary medicine, you just guess and put up things in your head. So it is very difficult. It's very complex. So I went to Sokile to do veterinary medicine. When I showed up there, and I was about to fill the forms, I asked the ladies again, the secretaries, which course is most difficult here? They said, veterinary medicine. And then one lady said, no, there's a course that started last year, something agronomy, engineering, agricultural engineering, irrigation. It's very complex. Out of 40 students, only 2 passed. The rest discontinued. And some had to appeal, so they came back, and Then I took my form and I wrote agronomy. I didn't know what it means. So they picked me up, and I went to do that course. I did it for 4 years. I passed very well. When I had finished with my first class, I discovered that it was not my passion, and at that time there was not really much of the jobs around that. So slowly I moved on. I did another master's in development studies and development economics, and then I did my PhD. So until when I was out of the school, I had done 22 years non-stop. From the very first day I went to the very first kind of class to when I had done the last. And by that time, I was around 31. So if you see me with gray hairs, you can guess how many years I've worked out with that PhD. Probably more than the age of majority of you since I became a daktari. So, in a nutshell, success in academic is a consistence of purpose. You have to purpose, to really plan and move towards what you plan to do. It does not come automatically. Even if you're very intelligent, at the lower levels, yes, when you go to the university, the rules of the game change big time. You can be very intelligent and fail to get A's and to get first grades. So the purpose of this session today is to help you to know how best to set your objectives for academics. If we can put lights off, I think they can help us have a better vision. And then to plan for your academics. And then, of course, to know how to study. And not only how to study, how to write examinations. And then how to also manage academic relationships. And then finally, we will conclude. Now, I wanted to recommend 2 books. I've written 2 books in this space, and please make sure you find them. They are up there in the bookstore, but they're also in many other bookshops in Dar es Salaam. The first book is called Successful Campus Living. It's a very good book. Must-do book for first years and second years, and Form 5 and Form 6, those who want to go to the universities. We've covered a lot of things around what happens in there with very hands-on experience. You know, I worked at the University of Dar es Salaam as a lecturer for a few years after my PhD, and then I worked for the President's Office, and I was responsible for some training side, so at least some background training, converting the Tanzania Public Service College into a proper government staff college. And then, of course, I worked for UNESCO with all these issues around higher education, planning, education, and all that. And I also worked for Inter-University Council for East Africa for almost 5 years with the student exchange programs, quality, what. And I had opportunity to visit over 450 universities. For most of those old universities in East Africa, at least those that are more than 20 years old, I don't think there is one that I've never visited. So at least what we've covered in this book is really practical. I really suggest that you read it. The second book I would like to recommend is a book called Successful Career Development. Now in this book, we are just talking about the story of how someone can do a successful career journey. How do you start with job number 1 and either grow into it or move to job number 2, 3, and so on and so forth. So currently I told you that I worked for the University of Dar es Salaam, for the President's Office, for UNESCO, for East African Community, but I also worked for the UK Civil Service for 10 years as a senior governance advisor, and then currently I work for Oxford Policy Management, a British company, as their country director for 6 years running now. So at least some of those hands-on issues, how to relate, how to grow in the job, how to perform, how to pass your assessments, how to do interviews, and all those kind of things, we've tried to contextualize them in a very simple manner that can help you have a big picture for your career and also grow into jobs. Mtu asije akakudanganya kwamba kazi hazilipi. Men, jobs are very much paying. If you have a good job, they pay for everything, from health insurance to your holidays to your transport and what. It's sweet. Sweet to have a big job and a big salary. But it also gives you space very quickly, especially if you're coming from an average family. So you can invest in your brain, do proper studies, and also penetrate out there. There is no competition in that area. Fine. So, how do we set our objectives so that we can succeed in academics? Now, many students normally go to college without a proper purpose. Until when they are in second year, they are not yet decided what they want to do in life. It's very important that you have a big picture of what you want to do, because that will determine how much you want to study and what you study. The lecturers will not tell you the details of this. They'll only come and tell you the technical side of the things that you want to study. Now, depending on the course that you have chosen, I normally believe that all degree programs are good. That's why they are there. There is no single degree program which is useless. You only need to do well and pass with distinction. If you get a first class in any degree program, you will definitely make it out there. Plus, the first degree is normally a kind of a license. We call it basic degree. It's just helping you to be universal. That's why we call it university. The moment you are universal now, you can now go into the specifics of what you want to do. So do not spend time fretting about what you are studying. If you are doing history or archaeology or accountancy or medicine and you don't like it, don't worry. Just get A's into it. When you have good grades, you can now plan properly what you want to do on top of that, and it will really make a big difference. Sawa? So it's important to have a big picture. Now, the way the academic programs are set, they are targeting helping you to develop yourself in three broad areas. All over the world, the education system makes sure that you go to college when you are most active, in the most active window of your life, between 16 and around 25, 30 there, so that you can really have energy and spend that energy investing in yourself. Tunaelewana? Yes. So the first thing that the programs, everything you learn is really targeting, is to help you think properly. So if you go to college and you stay there for 2 years and you come out with a diploma, but you can't think like someone who has gone out in college for 2 years, you still think like someone who did not go to college for 2 years, then that education has not helped you at all. So the way you think, the way you reason, the way you organize your logic and you do your things, that is what that degree program is meant to help you. You must think like someone who has gone to school. Now that thinking space is what is called cognitive objectives. They would help you, with questions, with concepts, theories, trying to open your brain so that you can think like someone who has gone to school. So if the way you do your things after degree is just like the same your friend who did not go to college is doing their things, then it means there is no difference in that. There has to be some clear difference on how you think. So you have to really work your brain. The second objective is your feeling and affiliation. So it is about your brain, it's about your heart and your passion. How you feel, how you think, how you are affectionate, how you have passion, and how the inner man, that inside, the outer is the content. So that inside personality of yours, it should be transformed by the level of education you have done. If your feelings, your excitements, your passions, your aspirations, your commitment in things is not like someone who's done a degree, it's just like a standard 7 liver, you have a very big problem. So education system is meant to address that, and they call it affective domain or affective side. And then there is a last aspect on how you act and take actions. Normally, after studying, we expect that you'll be quick, fast, and you seize opportunity. So the way you act and do your things should be different from the way anybody else does his things. Tunasema aliye na degree hata akipanga mkaa, unapaswa uone difference, useme huu mkaa umepangwa na mtu mwenye degree. Hata akiwa anauza ice cream, the way he speaks to clients should clearly show that this man has actually gone to school. There is something, the way he acts, the way he does his things is different. So the academic system should be able to help you do that. Okay. Sasa, let me ask you a few questions. I would like you to turn to each other, our groups of 2, and then you'll report back. So you have 1 minute to discuss, 1 minute to report back. So please do that job properly. You have 3 questions. Why should you plan for your academic success? The second question is, how do you normally do it? How do you normally plan for your studies? Number 1 is why, number 2 is how, and then number 3, tell your friend if it is working for you. If it is not working, then what do you want to improve in that plan? Do you have a plan in the first place? So let 2 of us discuss, 2, and then we will come and report back. So do it properly, and I'm making my time, I'm timing. 1 minute, and then we come back. So you start quickly, and then someone takes over. Karibu. Okay. Who want to give us feedback? Nani anataka kwanza? Can we have one pair telling us what did you discuss? Quickly, who want to try? Mnaweza kusema hata kwa Kiswahili, no problem. Okay, can two of you tell us what you discussed? The two gentlemen, yes. Yep. It needs some improvements. Sure, thank you so very much. Asante sana. Do you want to add on what you discussed? That's all that you said, eh? Thank you so very much. So let's continue. The rest of us will have time to report back later. So we say it is important for you to plan for your success. If you don't plan, you will not succeed. Especially at the college and at the universities, success does not come automatically. Hata kama wewe ni kipanga namna gani, you may not get good grades. Have you ever thought where the TOs are? You know TOs, eh? Tanzania ones, eh? Is there any TO here? Have you ever tracked TO wa mwaka 2005 yuko wapi? 2002 yuko wapi? 2001 yuko wapi? Sometimes some of them just get lost in the air. So, it is not about your brains. It's a combination of your brain, hard work, discipline, advice, and many other things. That is why it is good to help you be guided. Okay, so we will tell and discuss how you should do it in the next couple of minutes. In planning for your academics, you should start with a big picture, what we call long-term objective. Sorry for the noise. Okay, so just listen to me. We have a lot to discuss. Don't worry about the voice so long as you can follow what I'm saying. Eh? Okay, so you start with the long-term objectives. Unapoanza degree ya kwanza, when you are starting your degree or your diploma, start by asking yourself, what do you want to achieve? What kind of grades do you want to do? And is this the end of your study, or do you want to continue to the next level? What kind of jobs would you like to do? Because that will determine how you study. One of the challenges we normally find is that I've met students who say, I want to be a researcher, or I want to be a lecturer. And then they discover this in their second or third year, that actually their first year GPA cannot allow them to do what they wanted to do. or they discover that actually in the first year of study, there were some elective courses that they did not opt for, which are very important for what they want to do in future. So it is important for you to think what you want to do in the long term. If you don't know, ask. We don't expect you to know much about career and about issues associated with career. So you can talk to people, you can ask them, they can give you an advice. I want to be so and so. What should I study? How should I study? And normally, you will have people helping you. At the college or at the campus, there is someone called Dean of Students. Sawa? The function of the office of the Dean of Students is to help you, to guide you, to know what to study and how. So go and ask them. And in other colleges, they give you someone called course coordinator or academic advisor. You should ask those people to advise you. Sometimes you can ask your parents, but in many cases your parents may not be expert in that area. So look for trusted adults or professionals whom you can ask. For those who are coming at the church here at City Christian Center, we have a very good system of supporting students. I think we can just put it off. Tuendelee. Sorry for the... Now that's when you get to know that everything needs some professionalism. Sindio, eh? Yeah. So because the engineer is there, in the next few minutes, he's going to sort us out. And the media people want me to talk through the mic because they are recording. Otherwise, would have just proceeded without mic. But let's see what we can do. So, ask for advice. Sawa? If you are coming at the City Christian Center here, even if you are not a church member, come set up an appointment. We have very good people. We have a good students pastor who can always advise you. Objectives. Don't do the mistake I did of going to the university and asking which is the most complex program here. No. When they've advised you, you can now have your long-term objective and you get to know that, okay, in this bachelor program, I want to get third class, I want to get first class, I want to get second class, and get to know also what does it mean. When you arrive at the campus, there is a session called Orientation Week. Don't miss Orientation Week. Listen to it clearly and ask questions. Sawa? And then there are 2 books they give you. Actually 3 books. Those books are very important. Sometimes they don't give you, but they give you the link to those books. There is a book called Prospectus. Who have ever heard about a prospectus? Can I see your hands? Nani amewahi kusikia kuhusu prospectus? Nyosha kabisa juu nione. Asante, you can put your hands down. How many of us are in secondary schools? You can put your hands down. How many of us are in colleges? Ambao wanasoma vioni wote? Naomba tunyoshe tu confidently, si ndio? Very good. So you see, less than a half of the college students have seen a prospectus. That is very big mistake. The prospectus is your Bible at the college. You are judged and condemned according to what is in the prospectus. So make sure you look for your prospectus if you are at IFM, OCB, or University of Dar es Salaam, and you read it back to back.
It has all the information, including the courses, the course content, how exams are done, how they are being graded, how marks are being calculated, everything. Get to know the rules of the game before you start playing. If you are playing football and you go there and you're with the goalkeeper, instead of scoring at the goal, you go and kick it out. You won't get any point. In any single game that you do, you must know what are the rules. So similarly, you should know what are the rules of the studying in that college and in that degree program. Read the prospectus. Just Google, go to your university website, just type prospectus. It will come in there. Read it. Year 1, year 2, year 3, semester 1, everything is there. So, the second important book is called Almanac. Is there anybody who has ever seen a university almanac or a college almanac? Can I see your hand? Asante, you see only 2-3 of the college students have seen an almanac. Don't get to a classroom without seeing an almanac, because you are being judged and your presence there depends on what is planned in the almanac. Now, I will not tell you what it is. Just go and in the campus, in the website, Google what is an almanac and see it there. It will tell you the dates for exams, for what, for practical, for everything, and everything that's happening in the college. Very important for you. That is like your campus telling you a timetable, telling you everything, how it is done, when, and by which means. It's like a detailed order of program in the university. And then the third important book is called Student Bylaws. Can I see how many of you have ever seen a student bylaws? Student handbook? Oh, only one. Now, how do you live? You don't know the laws that are determining your presence there. Suppose you are discontinued. How will you look for a way out of it? Or you fall sick, or there is anything that happens to you. You should read the student bylaws word by word and get to know the rules of the game. Don't enter into a contract without knowing what is stated in the contract. So getting to a university and sitting in a classroom without knowing what is the student bylaws there is like going to a bank, taking a loan without knowing how much you are paying, when, for how many years, at what interest rate. Read it and get to know what are the terms. There are two things in the student bylaws. One is the mother law. Every single college has been established by the Act of Parliament. So CBE, there is CBE Act. DIT, kuna sheria ya bunge ya DIT. University of Dar es Salaam, there is a law that established it. Read that law properly. You are university and college people. Sawa, you are not guys from Darasa la Saba. If you are thinking, you're planning, your mindset, the way you do your things is not changing, you will finish your studies, you will not get any job. You will go back to the village and be like someone who had gone to visit a grandmother in another village and is now back after 4 years. So, read the mother law, the act, the University or College Act. Get to know why was it established, when, and all those things. And then there is student bylaws, which is telling you what happens if you don't show up in the classroom. What happens if this lecturer treats you this and this way? This is your life. Don't belittle things about your life. Sawa? Let me give you a good a practical example. So when I was at the college, I was a student leader. Now, one time we went on strike. And as the leader, I was charged by, according to the student bylaws and the University Act, by the government. And they said, explain in 3 days why you should not be expelled, you should not be rusticated. I mean, totally dismissed in the university for causing riot. So I went back, read all my charges. And then I read the prospectus, and then I read the act. Actually, I had 3 charges. Number 1, we went to the regional commissioner to report about what was happening and complain. And then they said, my number 1 mistake was to go to the regional commissioner without prior permission from the university. Number 2 was to lead people in strike and to be a ringleader, and there was another thing. Now, when I read at the university almanac, a student bylaws, that was not a mistake. It was not said that if you go to the regional commissioner and complain, it's a mistake. So I said, yes, it is true. I went to the regional commissioner, and there's nothing wrong with that. So there were not anything that they had to do for me. They said, next time when you want to go there, please make sure that you inform university authorities. Na kwenye zile charges tatu zote, nika-clear, nikaendelea na masomo. Anyway, those 3 books are very important. So, long term, Now, after that, you should also look at the objectives of the academic year. In every year that you are doing. In Tanzania, the way your degree programs are structured, they come in 3 years or in 3 categories. So the first year, the starting year, is when you get in and you set yourself. We say the college is very difficult, but the subjects are very easy. Sindio? Shule, ngumu, masomo, rahisi, first year. Kila kitu introduction to introduction to introduction to. So have a very clear objective for that year. To learn quickly, to get to know all the rules of the game, and also to set up a foundation. In first year, that is when you are supposed to pass with flying colors. Because as you move to second and third years, things get so complex. Sawa? The second year is normally now when you run the profession. If you are doing maybe procurement or political science, every complex thing will be in the second year. That is where the professionalism happens. So make sure that you really understand. And normally in second year, they are going to be the so-called core courses and elective courses. So you should choose what do you want to do. For example, you are doing a procurement at University of Dodoma. They will tell you in second year, there are government procurement, private procurement, international procurement, and you cannot do all those 3 courses at the same time. So you have to choose. So if your plan was to work for the government, you choose government procurement. Tunaelewana, eh? So you are there, you choose procurement in public and public companies. And then when they advertise a job at TRA, you are there with your application. And you expect that they'll give you that job. They will not give you, you are not prepared. Tunaelewana, eh? So in the second year, you choose between those core subjects and elective subjects so that they can link up with where you want to do, what you want to do, and where you want to go. And then also within the second year, you can also have objectives around what you want to score in terms of marks and all that will be coming back to that. And normally in the third year, that is when you are wrapping up. Unaaga sasa. Shule rahisi na masomo rahisi. So it is more about management, coordination, administration. You are putting your things in order and you are cleaning up things. You can now make other decisions. Sawa, eh? Sasa mwingine anaingia first year, anapata mchumba first year. Wapi na wapi? So you should also have objectives for the semester. When you have semester 1 and semester 2, they give you a timetable. You have already looked at the almanac and the university prospectus. You know, in this semester, this is what is going to happen. So you have a very good plan over that semester. You have 16 weeks. You know that the first 3 weeks are more of a setting up foundation, arriving and what. The next 3 weeks, we have cut 1. You call them cuts, eh? Continuous assessment tests. And then the remaining 3 weeks, we have cut 3. And then the 2 final weeks, we have university exams. You plan properly. You do your works in blocks. So you know that by this time, I should have already covered all my notes in terms of revision. I would have already done all my take-home assignment and all that. So you plan your semester according to the blocks and you do what you're supposed to do. You spread the burden of responsibility. If you don't plan, then you wonder, the exam is there the other day, or there is a test today and tomorrow, and you've not covered all the notes. It's like you didn't know that there would be a test. Kwani test ni ajali? Sio ajali, it is well planned. And for many instructors, they normally give you a whole course line, including when there would be a test, when there's going to be a take-home assignment, an essay and all that. Put all that in your master timetable and track it properly. So we start passing by having a good plan in ourselves. If you don't have a good plan at the college, you will not get A. You'll always be getting B and C, because you are not coordinated. And when you come to work for us, you will never be a manager. Because in the offices, there is a lot of coordination, organization. We do many things, meetings, conferences, and all that. So the planning culture starts at the college. Sawa? Okay. And then, of course, you also have to plan your objectives for the tests, assignments, and exams. You should know how are you going to be marked, to be assessed in that particular course. Are there take-home essays, for example? Are there open book examinations or closed book examinations? Or are they timed essays? Or are they group work? What is contributing to which marks and how? Sometimes you put a lot of effort the whole 3 days for a piece of work that has only 2 marks out of 100. And there is this other assignment that the instructor says, okay, go and visit Tanzania Oxygen and write a report. And you write a 2-page report, later to only find that actually that visit had 20 marks out of 100. So you don't even know the proportionality of what you're doing. Mnanielewa, eh? So get to know which examination or test or assignment is contributing to which marks. Now, within the courses that you're also doing in semester, they are also weighted. At the end of the day, what you will be getting is the so-called GPA. Sindio? Grade point aggregate. Get to know how it is calculated. What is contributing in your GPA. You are doing 8 subjects, and then you put similar level of effort in 8 subjects. You think they're all the same. While actually one subject has 4.0 weight. Another subject has 1.2. So why should you waste your time for the subject which has 1.2? Hiyo weka energy kidogo, hata ukipata B, ile ya 4.0, utakuwa umepata A. Itaivuta, bado utakuwa na GPA ya 4.4 first class. To get first class, you don't need to get 5.0. Mimi sikuwahi kupata 5.0. Of all the A's I got at the university, I never got 100. I don't think even I ever gotten a 90. Mimi A zangu zilikuwa za, inaanzia A ngapi kwenye university? Yeah? 70, si ndio? Yes, 71, 72, 73, 74, 76 nimejitahidi. Sote napiga A asubuhi mpaka jioni. Because I study with a purpose. When my grades come, 4.5, first class. Mwingine nakuta amepata A kule, huko amepata C. Huko amepata A 3, huko na supplementary. Very stupid. So have the objectives of how you want to study. This is your life. Don't just go haphazardly. Tunaelewana, eh? Yes. So you have the objectives of the tests, assignments, examinations. Now, what is happening nowadays, because you are so many, instructors tend to put you in groups. Groups of 10, groups of 5, groups of what, and you do your assignment and submit in groups. So mnafanya hivyo, eh? How many of you are working in groups? Can I see your hands? Almost all are working in groups. Now, there is a folly about these groups. You know, this piece of work has 20 marks in the continuous assessment. 20% of the entire A. And then, out of the 15 of you, you delegate your 20 marks to someone you don't know even his name or where he's staying at. Anakaa Mabibo, hujui. Anakaa off campus, hujui. Ni changudoa usiku, hujui. Ni mlevi, hujui. So you say, Roy will write the assignment. Anajua Kiingereza, hujui. So Roy goes and he writes Mavorongoto. When you submit your assignment, out of 20, you get 7 out of 20, including yourself there. That is a sheer stupidity. This is your future, your work. Take responsibility. I normally tell my daughters who are at the university, make sure you do those assignments yourself. If you don't do it yourself, read it properly and make sure that what is submitted there is reflecting what you want. And normally it is very easy to pass in those assignments. When you get 18, 17, 16, it is very easy to get an A. At the college, we do get marks before the final exam. the final exam is only contributing sometimes 30% or 40% or 60%. The continuous assessment carries a lot of weight. So it is more about how you organize yourself. Halafu zile mnajua mwalimu anauliza swali, mna discuss, anawapa na vitabu, you go write 20 pages, you write references, you do what? It's all about coordination. Have you written the title well? Is introduction well written? Are the points adequate? Have you cited references well? What is bibliography? What? Is it well neat? Is English good? When he reads it, 11/15 or 19/20. But you've given it to a fellow, a stupid fellow, who waits for the last minute. And then the last minute na yeye anaenda anakopi kwenye ya mwaka jana, ambaye mwaka jana alipata ngapi? 14 ya 20. Now because that was only 70%. If you take 70% of the 100%, hata kama akiandika vizuri namna gani hawezi kupata 14. Lazima itashuka, itakuwa ngapi? 11 au 9. The paper comes back 8/20. Inafika September conference na wewe umo. So have these objectives plus other related objectives. Sawa, eh? Now, when you are studying, you should study with a purpose. It is not just about studying. So when you are studying with a purpose, umeshakuwa na ile objective, umejua nataka nipate marks nzuri, ili nipate scholarship nifanye masters, au ili nielewe nikapate kazi nzuri. Nowadays when they advertise for jobs, they look at the grades. Si ndio, eh? Yes. What normally happens when the results are out, those who get first class get the jobs first, and then those who get second class follows. Wale ambao wamepata GPA 2.2, 2.3, 2.6 ndio wanakuwa wa mwisho, miaka 3, 4, 5 hawapati kazi. Na ndio wanaharibu sifa ya elimu. Wanasema siku hizi hamna kazi, elimu imeshuka viwango. Haijashuka viwango, wewe ndio hauna viwango. Okay? Hello? Are we together? Yes. So, how do we study with a purpose? I want to talk about 5 things here. Now, for those who did not come with notebooks, poleni sana. Labda kama mtarecord, of course you can follow us with, it's all recorded. So, the first thing that will help you to study with a purpose is listening, authentic listening. I normally repeat myself a lot about this because it's a big problem. Students are not good listeners. At the college, listening is #1 skill that you must have. If you cannot listen and follow, there is no way you are going to pass. Very important. Now, in listening, there are about 4 things there. You will notice that I'm talking about what we call authentic listening. Authentic listening, we say kusikiliza kwa mamlaka. Tunaelewana, eh? When you get into a lecture theater and the instructor is teaching, there is a lot of interaction which is happening between you and him or her. How many times does he come to a class? How does a typical course end? How many contact hours? 20, 30? Yeah? Mpaka mnamaliza somo, lecturer anakuja darasani mara ngapi? Mara 5, mara 2, mara 4 on average. Inategemea na saa nyingine semester nzima kila wiki, si ndio, eh? Normally more than once. It may be 2 times, 3 times, many times. Sawa, eh? So what normally happens is that in the course of his teaching, there will be some relationship. Leo tumekutana siku ya kwanza. Kesho, this is Saturday, we are meeting today. Next week we are meeting again on Saturday. This semester has 16 weeks. So we are going to meet for 10 times. And then the 2 of the weeks will do test 1 and the other week test 2. So out of 16 weeks, because my subject is only once per week, we will meet 16 times. We will meet 14 times and 2 times doing examinations. Sawa, eh? Is it making sense, eh? Now, can you imagine you're meeting someone 14 times Ali, can you stand up? Let me just use your example. So, I'm meeting Ali the first time. I'm meeting Ali the second time. I'm meeting Ali the third time. I'm meeting Ali the fourth time. I'm meeting Ali the fifth time. I'm meeting Ali the seventh. I'm meeting Ali the 11th time. And then I'm meeting Ali the last 14th time, the final meeting. Oh, it was good. I enjoyed your class. Thank you, thank you. You can sit down. Now, 3 years later, Ali is applying for a job. And that job is on a course on climate change. And Ali attended my class on climate change. And we had 16 encounters. Each encounter had 2 hours. And we didn't build any relationship. Mnanielewa eh? Hata hanijui, hata simjui. So, you doing a course and getting out there bila kujua, bila kuwa na mahusiano yote na mwalimu, na bila kuwa na mahusiano yote na sekta, you are very stupid. How can you meet someone 10 times and you've not drawn anything to him? Kwenye prospectus pale, there is something called contact hours. You are supposed to meet a professor for 30 contact hours so that you can become an accountant. You are supposed to meet a professor for 15 contact hours so that you can become a civil engineer. This is a professor of structural engineering. So in the prospectus, he has been allocated to teach you 20 hours. So the contact hours between you and him is 20 hours. And for those 20 hours, you get nothing out of him. Are we talking? Yeah. Who is responsible? Him or you? Kwa sababu gani? When you go to the class, unakaa kule, pembeni kule. One of the things that really helped me do well in my studies, I was sitting in front here. There is no distraction when you sit in front. Ikifika saa ya breki, naenda kumpongeza prof. Oh, prof, that was very good. I really like the way you expressed the point. Now, what did you mean with this? Tuna exchange, tunasikia, tunafanya nini, hata kama na roho mbaya. Wakati akiongea, I can always steal the show. You've seen what Troy is doing, eh? He is doing this way. So, me as a professor, when I look at all of you, I tend to believe that it is only Roy who understands what I'm saying. So when I ask a question, I say, and you? He will answer. Tomorrow I come again, I'll ask a question, and you is always sitting there. He'll answer. And then the other day, I'll ask him, what's your name? He'll say Roy. When I'm marking the test, when I see Roy, it is at midnight, saa 6 usiku nataka kwenda kulala. Roy huwa anajibu darasani 9 ya 10. Are we together? Eh? Yes. So, number one thing in listening is concentration in listening. Students don't have concentration. They sit in the class, they are thinking about other things. Hanawaza maharage nyumbani, hanawaza nini, hanawaza mpira wa Arsenal, hanawaza nini, hanawaza barua ya mchumba, hanawaza nini. Mind is all over there except in the classroom. Make sure that you work on your concentration. Concentrate, force your mind to be there. Look at the forehead of the instructor. Angalia hapa. Sawa eh? Your eyes should move around 3 areas. Where he is presenting, au kwenye board, hapa, and then kama kuna kitu kingine ambacho kiko associated na your academic. So your eyes should be doing triangle. Pap, 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 pap. Don't allow your eye to be distracted. Ukikaa kule pembeni kule, basi linapita huko, hoya mwenge, 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 500, 500. You are looking at the corner. And your concentration is gone. So work on your concentration. Sawa eh? You can improve it. Some of the ways of improving concentration includes where you are sitting from and how you are receiving sound. So if you are very far away and the sound comes there, maprofesa wengine wananongoneza, si ndio? Wanaongea kama wataki. Me when I was teaching my students used to pass, I would talk my voice out. Kwa nini ni wanyime watu wengine elimu? Lakini sasa hiyo siwezi kuingilia. We had one lady, professor, and then we had another professor called Alphonse Shaongowi. He would shout when he was speaking from here, anafundisha engineering, nyumba ya 5 anasikia kule. And then ole wake mtu asinezema, "Hai, we, unasinzia kwenye lecture Alphonse Shaongowi." Lecture ya nani utajifunika blanketi kabisa. So, sound and how you receive it also sends out your concentration. Make sure you sit in a point where you get your sound clearly. Don't sit very close to the speaker. It can give you a lot of reverberations and bad sound. But also don't sit very far from the center of action. In the lecture theaters, actions happen at the front desk. Be in there so that you can get the best of the sound and improve your concentration. The second thing is, as you listen, beat the slumber. Kusinzia. Can you tell me on average what percent of students are sleeping in the lecture theaters? 10%? Darasani kwenu wanaosinzia kwenye lecture theater ni asilimia ngapi? 10? Amna? Wapo. Out of 100, like how many? 20?
There are many now.
Maybe 20. 30%. Okay. In your class, roughly? And 80% sleeping in the class. Okay, how many are saying at least over 40% are sleeping in the lecture theaters? Can I see your hands? Who? How many are saying 50? 30? 20? Okay, so let's compute a quick average. 2 to 25. So can we say at least a quarter of students doze in the lecture theaters? Sawa? Now, why do they sleep? Give me reasons. Tell me quickly. Kwa nini? Why do you sleep in the lecture theaters?
At first, it might be lacking the concentration, meaning you're not focusing on what the lecturer is teaching, or if you're having stress.
Concentration number 1, stress number 2. Very good. Any other reason? Attention, no attention. Very good. Any other reason?
Nature of the lecture time.
Nature of the lecture time. It comes so late in the afternoon and you're really tired. Very true. Any other reason? Yes? Address. Tiredness. You're really tired. You've absorbed a lot. And many other reasons. So what you do, you assess yourself what makes you sleep, and you develop a counter strategy. If you know when this lecture comes and I'm always tired, just go down there at the Kimbwete, sleep, have a power nap, 5 minutes before that lecture. Or just sleep chini kwenye nani? Chuoni kuna majani, si ndio? Except for IFM. What were IFM nisabe, si ndio? Now when we were studying, one of our friends, he was doing mathematics, masters in mathematics. He developed a formula. He developed 2 formulas. One was a formula of backsliding. Are there someone who's born again in here? Can I see the hands of those who are born again? Waliokoka naomba nione mikono yao. Nyosha nione basi. Asante, angalau 80% wameokoka. Kuna kama 20% hivyo hawajaokoka, tuongea baadaye. So, Mumbi is now a professor at the University of Nairobi. He developed a mathematical equation on how to backslide. Now, that mathematical equation was saying the rate of backsliding at the college is inversely proportional to the number of days of attending fellowship and increasing in prayers, dividing by the ability to do personal Bible studies. So, he also developed another formula, which we used to call it the law of horizontal maximum rest. Now, when you are studying and there is this lecture coming at 3, saa 9 mchana, or saa 8, saa 11, umechoka, and it is in the heat of Dar es Salaam, what do you do so that you can really be refreshed? You apply the law of horizontal maximum concentration. No, horizontal maximum rest. How does it say? It says that when thou art tired and there is a serious lecture coming, thou should lie on the ground, making sure that your head and your feet are perpendicular to the force of gravity. Meaning like this. Can I have one gentleman helping me to demonstrate? Naomba kaka mmoja aje hapa. Asante sana. I want to ask you to sleep up. Kabisa, 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 eh? Sure. Put your hands also down. Yani every part of your body should touch down. Unaona alivyolala, eh? So the feet, this side is on the ground. Sawa, eh? And the head, this side is on the ground, and every part of his body is on the ground. Ukifumba macho kama ulikuwa umechoka, in 15 minutes umeshasinzia zamani. Sawa, eh? And you have your alarm. After 30 minutes, unaamka. Can you continue? Sawa, eh? Una reset system yako. You run quickly to your room or to your friend's room. Hata nje ya majani pale. Just close your eyes too. When you coming out there, you know what make people sleep? The supply of oxygen in the brain tends to go down. Now when you sleep like that, you reset the system. Mind yako inakuwa clean. Ukienda kwenye ile lecture, hauwezi kusinzia tena. You fight sleep by all means. So make sure you beat the slumber. Next time you sleep in the lecture theater, tell yourself, I'm going to beat the slumber. Because it is eating on your time. You cannot get an A. And also, the bad effect of slumbering in the lecture theaters, it sends a bad rapport to the instructors. When he sees you dozing, even if you really understand what he said, when he'll be marking your script, hatajua tu huyu ndo yule ambaye huwa anasinzia. Sawa, eh? And when you come to our offices in the boardroom, and me, Charles Sokile, County Director, is giving an address to my staff, and you are sleeping, next time there is promotion, it is not for you. We don't promote people who are sleeping in the boardrooms. Nafikiri wanapewa cheo au? Would you make him a manager to go to Mtwara and sleep there if he's sleeping in Dar es Salaam? So fight slumber by all your energy. And then of course the other thing is your posture and physique. How do you sit in the lecture theaters? Sit properly. If you're seated wrongly, honestly you'll sleep. You are inclining and it's 3 p.m. Na siku hiyo umepiga dash ujala mchana. Obviously unatafuta usingizi wewe, si ndio maana yake? So put up your posture in an active form. In other classes they allow you to stand. If you can stand, stand. Or if you can do anything with your posture and physique, you can play your legs, you can do anything, but make sure that you move your body. Don't stay in one posture for a long time. Exchange, extend, do whatever you can so that you really become active. You allow the supply of oxygen. When the instructor is talking, I told you about the power of authentic listening. You give him everything. You give him your eyes. So when he's moving, he's saying, now, this is very important. As he's going to say this, your eyes follow him. When he comes and says, next time, your eyes follows his hand. So as your eyes move and follows, you will not slumber. Sawa, eh? Yeah, make sure that you really check on your physique. And then the other thing which is important is refocusing. Just refocus. Remind yourself, aha, so this is a lecture on osmosis. So osmosis, okay. When your mind thinks about Mwanza and Kigoma and what? Biskuti. Just, no, not biskuti here. Osmosis. Refocus. And that way, you can really improve on your listening. After listening, the other important skill is reading. Now, at the college, you read a lot, and we expect you to really be reading. One of the problems with the students nowadays is actually twofold. Number one, they don't read adequately. They don't read a lot. They don't read much. Wanasoma kidogo sana. They like visuals. They like to see things, videos, nini. If you give them an option between listening and seeing and reading, number 1, they'll go for seeing. Number 2, they'll go for listening. Number 3, they'll go for reading. While in actual sense, the knowledge practice is vice versa. Reading number 1, and then listening number 2, and then seeing number 3. Ndio maana instructors wenu wanapokuja darasani, they don't have much to see. Anakuambia how to design a bridge, haji na daraja mle ndani. We had an instructor who was teaching us about steam engines. Now he comes and he tells us about carburetor. So he says in the carburetor this. So one day Innocent asked him, "Sir, can you show us how a carburetor look like?" So he just ignored him, and then he went with his lecture for like an hour. Later, after 1 hour, he said, "Nani yule alikuwa anauliza carburetor?" And Innocent said, "I'm here, sir," expecting that he will tell us what carburetor is. You know what he said? "Nenda ulete tractor, nami nitakuonyesha carburetor." And then he went with all other things. So they don't bring those things in. They want you to read and understand and imagine. Sawa? Yes, and this is why the course outline, which I told you, that is in the almanac and in the prospectus and in the guidebook, will already tell you that, okay, in this lecture is going to talk about carburetor and powers of a mechanical steam engine. So you read before, you Google, you look at those things. So when he speaks, you have a rough idea what it means. Tunaelewana, eh? Yes. So I want you to think about this. How can you improve your comprehension? When you read, the purpose of reading is for you to understand. The first thing that they do when they come to the lecture is to give you a reading list. Wao wanatoa, eh? Or they don't give you references. Susie, do they give you references? They do. Now, can you imagine a professor comes and says, "Read this book." How many of you do go back and read those books? Huwa hamsomi, si ndio, eh? Wachache sana wanaosoma. When I went to Kiba High School, the first day I reported, you know, they ticked my name and all that I had, and then the next thing they said, "Okay, can you go to the store and bring a wheelbarrow?" So I went and brought a wheelbarrow. They gave me books, 3 full sacks. Magunia matatu yamejaa vitabu. Biology, Vines and Rees. Nani anajua Vines and Rees? That yellow book, do you still read it? Anybody who did PCB here? Hey, hamna. Okay, so there is Vines and Rees volume 1, this big, we call it mkate. Vines and Rees volume 2, this big. There's another one, elementary, this big. Mathematics, university mathematics, we are in form 5. This big yellow book. Book 1, book 2, Kinunda, book 3, this big. 3 sacks, magunia matatu yamejaa vitabu. And that's why we got A's. And when we were reading those books, mpaka leo kinuliza biology, cytology, page 78, nitakwambia anasema hivi na hivi. Krebs circle, I still remember it even now. Although I don't work on those things, eh? Yes. So you should read for comprehension, understand. If you don't understand the concept, Google it again, ask someone. Understand it in a complex manner, understand it also in a simple manner. Because the way education is done, it is building on blocks. Ukiwa darasa la kwanza unafundisha hesabu anakuambia haiwezekani. Ukifika huko mbele unakuambia kuna baki. Ukifika kule mbele unakuambia kuna decimal. Unapofika huko mbele, there is nothing like decimal. Every math is solvable. Si utaweka line, utaweka logarithm, utaweka nini, you can do everything possible. Yes. When you are down there, they told you photosynthesis. At daytime, the plant breathes what? Carbon dioxide. At oxygen. At night, it breathes oxygen. Hamna kitu kama hicho. Kuna dark reaction na no. So as you go and go, utakavyokuwa unafanya kule sasa advanced physiology, unafanya PhD ya physiology, yeah? Then you get to know, aha, so this is what they mean. So imagine, understand things in a simple concept, complex concept, and also in other concepts. And you guys are nowadays very lucky because there's a lot out there online. Sawa, eh? Yeah. Don't absorb a toxic concept. Sometimes people read and they think they have understood, kumbe ameelewa kitu kinyume. Supply and demand. Equilibrium. Yeah? They normally tend to understand them vice versa. Sindio? marginal rate of substitution kwenye economics, elasticity. Tulikuwa na bwana fulani, he failed to understand which concept is this. Opportunity cost. Now the way he knew opportunity cost, to him he thought that opportunity cost is the cost of opportunity. So if you are talking, the way he's making, he says, what kind of economics is this? It doesn't add up. No. Wakati opportunity cost actually is a value of a foregone alternative. Manake kwamba, now this morning you had so many things to do. You were to wash your clothes, you were to sleep, you were to go visit your shangazi, you were to prepare for the test tomorrow, or to come to church, to this program. Sawa? Now you chose to come to this church. Now coming here at a cost. Now the cost of the foregone alternatives, if you combine the cost of all other things that you did not do for you to come here, that is the opportunity cost. Tunaelewana eh? Sio cost ya kuja hapa. Inakuwa kama vice versa, sawa eh? Sasa concept nyingi, mara nyingi zinakuwaga hivyo. Debit, credit. Wengine mpaka anamaliza degree, anachanganya debit na credit. So don't swallow toxic concept. Make sure that you read for comprehension. Sawa eh? Otherwise you'll be an expert who is nonsense out there. Okay? And then, how do you control your reading speed? We have a problem nowadays with students because they are not good readers. Mnafundishwa communication skills, eh? Yeah. Now in communication skills pale unafundisha kuhusu skimming, scanning, and what else? Yeah? Intensive reading and all those kind of things. Very important. So make sure that you read at an adequate speed. If you read at a bad speed, it's like someone driving a car in a highway at a very slow speed. What happens? They knock you from behind. Kingine kinachofanya mnasinzia wakati wa personal prep, mnasoma kidogo sana. So lazy in reading. Read quickly. Sawa eh? Yeah. So as you improve your speed in reading and comprehension, it really gives you a culture of reading. And don't only read what is in the class. Read other books as well. Be a scavenger reader. Me, I read a typical book of 100 pages. Takes me maybe 3-4 hours to make my list. I have thousands of books, especially e-books. And I'll read it before I sleep. If it is 80 pages, 60 pages, before I sleep, I read and finish it. When I'm traveling at the airport, I read like nobody's business. So I know many things. Huwezi kunidanganya kwenye area yoyote. So read and make sure that your reading speed is good. And then also read to elicit memory. As you read, think of how you are going to remember that thing. Stop and link what you are reading with the reality. Aha, so this is what it means. Don't just read kama anayesoma shairi. Karudi baba mmoja kutoka safari ya mbali, kavimba yote mapaja na kutetemeka mwili. Watoto wake wakaja ili kumtaka hali, wakataka na kauli iwafae maishani. No! Understand. Make a concept. Okay, so this is what it means. If you don't know the application of what you're reading, try to ask Google, check out so that you know that, this is what it means. Sometimes, if you don't know the application of the subject you are reading, it becomes very difficult for you to remember. There are things they teach us in class, and you don't know what it means. Anakuja mwalimu, anawaambia permutation na combination. Form 3 mathematics. Or Form 5 basic applied mathematics. Or you are doing university biometry. Or you are doing data science. Now you can't understand really this combination and permutation. What does it mean? Yesterday, I was in Arusha, and we were talking with some senior people. I was training them on how we were making some business choices. Now, we had 5 big projects to do. And then we have 5 factors to consider. Capital, experience, nini. Now, as we were talking, we said, now, how do we decide out of these 5 projects? So we said, I think where we are, we should apply some mathematics so that we have an evidence. Hapa, inabidi tutumie permutation na combination. Then they were like, hey, wananiangalia kwa sababu waliacha hesabu form 2. Si ndio eh? You remember when the teacher was writing n factorial and I divide n minus r factorial, those things eh? Alafu saa nyingine anaandika log, alafu anaweka mabano. Au ukifika kule mbele anaandika kile kinyoka dy dx. Now sometimes when you look at those things and it doesn't really add up. Kama ni kwenye subject yoyote sijui history, political science, you can read a whole thing and it doesn't really add up kwa sababu hujui application yake. Sawa But when you know its application kwamba kumbe tunapochora graph alafu tuna shade, tunasema production function, tunasema huku ni negative, huku ni positive. Kumbe wanapotufundisha quadratic equation x squared plus nini na nini au simultaneous a plus b, kumbe hii ndio TANESCO wanatumia kwenye kusetu watu kwenye tarifu. Kuna tarifu D1 ya watu ambao ni maskini na tarifu D2 ya wale ambao wanalipa zaidi. Then when you look at these things you understand. Tunaelewana Yes, when I was young, they used to ask us, to tease us and say, okay, in a sack, kwenye ndoo, kuna vichwa 5 na miguu 24 ya kuku na mbuzi. Chagua, kuna kuku wangapi humo na mbuzi wangapi? You can do that, si ndio Yani pale ndani ya ndoo, kuna vichwa vingapi? 5 na miguu 24. Lakini ni ya kuku na mbuzi. You can solve that in mathematics. Yes, that is a typical simultaneous equation. X plus y is equal to, mbuzi ana miguu mingapi? 4. 4. Alafu x plus y is equal to 2. Unaanza ua. You calculate to get the answer very quickly. Yes. So sometimes if you don't understand hiyo concept, you cannot elicit your memory. Unaelewana kwenye reading Okay. So other things apart from reading, tumesema listening, tumesema reading, and then we have another thing which is very important, which is writing. Now if you were in grade 1, I would have said, say writing. Sema writing. Yes. Writing is a skill which is dying so quickly, so fast. Wanafunzi siku hizi hawaandiki notes. Wanafanyeje? Wana screenshot. Alafu anategemea notes alizo screenshot aje andike apate A. You can't. Haiwezekani, you can't. When you write, you remember. Writing is a skill and you must do it. How do you come to an academic seminar without a paper and a pen? Si ndio maana Dr. Shalu alikuwa anawashangaa hapa. Honestly, one of the reasons I've really delayed not to go digital is because of our power of a pen and paper. When you write it with your own hands, you remember. And me at home, my children know. Wakiwa kuanzia age 4, wanaanza kuniandikia barua. Anataka hela, anaandika barua na budget. Waulize, yes. Anataka chote, anaandika. So that we can keep the art of writing. When you start looking for a job, the first thing you do is writing an application letter. So we will read your writings before we see your face. Before we even get to know whether you scored A's or B's, we see your writing first. So if you don't know how to write, tutakapoona tu application barua. Before that, I was a watu atile barua inatembeka kwenye mitandao mnajua sir. I can iron your husband and cook your children. Mnajua ile barua inazunguka ile. So when you read the letter, immediately unajua huyu yani hafai kabisa. You don't even go kwenye grades kuangalia transcript. So make sure that you write. Na kwenye academics is you start by writing your own notes. Say own notes. Yes, don't read someone else's notes. Hapana. It will not give you an A. Create your own notes. Kila subject as the instructor talks, unajua jinsi ambavyo unafanya. Now it is important to use symbols and shorthands. Everyone knows what he understands better. So the instructor is saying 5 things important about writing. So unaandika 5, alafu unaandika ishara ya kalamu. Unasema something important to see. Unaandika jicho, unaandika tu. So when you do all that, 16 weeks later wakati unajiandaa kwa mtihani, you look at your notes. Ukishaona jicho pale tu unakumbuka zile. Sawa Yes. So when you write your own notes, it really helps you. Now as you write, this writing will help you to do your notes rightly and also to do your summaries and points. Anapoongea mwalimu pale darasani, you cannot write everything verbatim. You create your own notes, si ndio? Later, if possible, the same day when you are revising, you create another summary of the notes. So in today's lecture, he talked about this. This was the major concept. This was the major issues. And the way I like with the universities and colleges, it is your instructor who is examining you. Nani anatunga mtihani? Unatoka baraza la mitihani? Si anatunga mwalimu wako? So how can you fail an exam which has been set by someone who taught you? And is the same person who's going to mark. Ndio maana mimi huwa sielewi kabisa watu wana fail. I don't understand how people fail. So it teaches you, and when they teach, the way they do, walimu wote ulimwenguni pote, because they are lazy, they normally don't talk about important things all the time. Watapiga story, porojo, nini, some even seated. So the command is just seated and is just talking, oh, and this, and Nyerere, concept of Mwalimu Nyerere, and what, and colonialism. Another important thing, in 1967, Azimio la Arusha, wao wanafanya hivyo, from nowhere, ananyanyuka kwenye kiti, anaenda kuandika. Hao wanasema, now I want you to listen to this. Wao wanasema hivyo, there is something he does from the blues. Now that something which he is doing is the examination. It is important to him. Kwa hivyo unapoandika notes zako, ukishaona amefanya tu kitu unusually, there unafanya nini? Una shade, unaweka jicho, una focus kwenye hilo jambo. Siku unajibu swali lake, na yeye naona mwambia another important thing. Akiona halo effect 9/10. Hizo transition moments when you are writing, you also write them and put them together. It is important, your summaries and points, but also the way you write in tests and assignments is very important. In my teaching years, I've taught in many colleges, hapo Mlimani, hapa Mzumbe. One of the things that I really dreaded most ilikuwa ni kusahihisha. Darasa la watu 400. Bora hata wa masters. Na wa masters is even worse kwa sababu anaandika pointi alafu anaandika nyingi. Our undergraduates ni rahisi kumpa 3 ya 10 kwa sababu hamna kitu pale. So, when you are writing for tests and exams, 3 things to remember. Number 1, write legibly. Write clearly and big. Andika kubwa inayosomeka. Instructor sio mchumba wako kwamba atachukua lenzi aanze kuchunguza walikuwa maanisha nini. No. If you can't understand it, that is 0. Kama unaandikaga yale mavurongoto yamejikoroga kwenda kushoto, in exams put it standing and clearly. And start with a strong point. You are talking about economic downfall. Anza na hiyo economic downfall. Don't go about the bush economic downfall. Inaenda kuwa mstari wa 5. We will not look at it. Sawa? It doesn't matter whether you've written 20 pages or 1 page, but write it very clearly. Use a pen which is very clear, probably a black pen. Ballpoint ambayo inasomeka vizuri. It's not about mimi wasipendi rangi nyeusi, mimi sipendi kalamu ya big. It is about what is visible. Sawa? Yes. So that is important thing. Now as you write also, kama ni kuwrite kwenye exams na kwenye assignments, tumia visuals na images. Instead of saying East Africa now has 8 countries, chora rough map. Au chora box, sema Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi. Poop 8. Akiona visual inamamasa. Inamtia masa. It seduces the eyes. When he's reading and he sees something in the middle of the text, either a map or a circle or anything, macho yake yanaenda pale haraka. Na kama kitu kile kina point, wanavyosahisha anaweka tiki pale, anaweka 2. So wanarudishia karatasi mnaona wanavyo mark. Yes. So make sure that you use the visuals. you are talking about 5 points, unaanza kubullet 1 2 3 4, au sehemu nyingine unaweka tiki tiki tiki, au unatumia arrow, au una express in terms of percentages, au you are talking about Tanzania now as 62 million people, unachora pie chart, poop poop, 62 million au 62% of whatever, express it katika visuals. Inasaidia kuonyesha kwamba you have power of what you are talking about and what you are writing. So we said in assignments, you write yourself. Don't delegate your future to Tom, Dick and Harry. Andika mwenyewe ili uwe na hakika marks unazipata mwenyewe. And then of course in exams na other papers zinakuwa timed zile. You have a shorter time to write, so you are writing under pressure. It's different from writing when you are not under pressure. Now when you are writing under pressure, you think properly what you want to write na unaziweka coherently kama ulivyofundishwa kule nyuma. Your 5 points umeshakuwa nazo pale, and if possible you finish early so that you can read again, know what you've written. Sawa, eh? Yes. So as you get to know all this, inasaidia to make sure kwamba in every single thing that you write, actually you are in control of what you are going to do. I've talked about the visualization, figures, illustrations, numbers and expressions, imagery. If you can use art or anything that is really showing, it's normally very important. Now, in case of exams, now come back to exams, ngoja tumalize kwanza hizi skills, eh? So, listening, reading, writing, speaking. Do you speak in the classes? Wa mnaongea? Okay. For a program that takes 3 years, how many times do you get opportunity to speak? Kuongea kunachangia wewe kupata marks? Kwa vipi? Can someone tell, okay, can you tell us, how does your speaking contribute in your success in academics? Very good. Speaking in presentations, good. Where else do we get opportunity to speak? Discussions. In discussions. When else? Yes? Answering questions or asking questions. Very good. Inachangia kwenye performance, eh? Big time halo effect. When you ask questions and they make sense, the instructor get to know that this man is thinking. When he's marking your script, atakapo kusupervise kwenye special project, especially as you go to higher levels, tangu kule chini kwenye undergraduate ashajua that young man is very fine. Kwa hivyo anapokusaishia kule, hata umeandika vibaya, anakurekebishia na andika vizuri. We had a teacher who had a very big problem with halo effect. Mlikuwa mkikaa hivi kama kila siku unajibu swali, unauliza swali. Siku akiuliza swali ukakosea, anamchapa Roy. Anasema wewe kila siku unajibu. Leo umekwaje? Umekaa na toto la fulani lijinga ili, hebu njoo hapa mbele nikuchape. Yeah, sure. So, speaking is very important. Don't withhold the marks that you can get through your mouth. When you go to college, there's a lot of marks. We estimate that it can be between 17% to 27%. Ambazo zitakuja tu by the fact kwamba you can speak. In the classes, there always time to interact. Ask questions. And when you ask questions, ask them in a right way. Don't confront your instructor. Sir, don't you know that Tanzania now has 62 people? Unataka kumsaisha wewe? Don't you think that this is important? You are accusing your professor for not thinking. Yeah? So ask questions in a right way. That start by complimenting. That's very good, sir. Wow, I'm happy to learn that. Well, I thought, unaona, unaweka point in a positive way. How can this, unaweka in a positive way? In a later engagement. Not confrontation. Sawa, eh? And then take opportunity, seize opportunity. When he says any question, shoot your hands immediately. Ukinyosha hivi, anajua hauko confident. Lakini akisema any question, hata kama swali lako ni la kijinga, ile confidence itamu-inspire. He will rephrase your question. Simwai kuwa na unauliza swali alafu analirekebisha mwenyewe. Anasema I think you wanted to ask about this. Siwa anasema hivyo Suzy. Manake ana confidence na wewe kwa sababu the way you raised your hand. Raise your hand with a style. Hapa nikisema okay, wangapi? No. In West Africa, actually, when you go to a class like this, everyone is seated in front of you. Even in Kenya. Kwenye sessions ambazo nimefanya public lecture KU, I mean, students are active. They answer questions. Unasema, you ask, okay, is there any question? 5 hands. Kila mtu amenyosha mkono juu. So next time you are raising your hands, raise it up. It will help you to seduce marks. Tunaelewana, eh? Yeah. So when we ask questions, when we contribute, but also in the presentations, we've agreed that the best principle is don't delegate your success. So kama kuna presentation, take up the job. Utaniambia dakika zangu zimebaki ngapi? Sawa, eh? Chukua muda, rehearse, go in the mirror, talk about what you want to present, time yourself. Unajua kwamba hii paper ina peji 20, watanipa dakika 7. Rehearse mara ya kwanza unakuta unatumia dakika 15. Ni twice as much. Kata. So that when you go there, you are confident and you do a good job. Na instructor anatikisa kichwa, he gives you 8.5 out of 10. Now you delegate to someone, yeye mwenyewe anakaa tandika. Darasa liko yombo gani? Yombo 2. Yeah? Imefika saa ya presentation, amekoma kwenye foleni mabibo. And then bwana wewe ingia uokoe jahazi. Then someone goes there, he's not even prepared. You get 3 out of 10. Nani analaumiwa? So be on control of what you are saying. Your speaking adds a lot. Kwenye group discussions, speak out your point. When you get hold of it, nishasema kuhusu toxic points. Kwa unakuta unafikiri unaelewa, kuna wale ambao ni wachoyo wale. Anajua concept hataki wengine waelewe. Amejua vice versa. Wengine wote wanajua yeye ndo ajui. Kesho yake kwenye mtihani anaenda anaandika visivyo. And then anapata below. So when you speak, you make it really come out quite clearly. So in speaking, just a few more other things. Kwenye presentations, you speak for memory. Mara nyingi ukiongea ukicontribute ina stick kwenye memory. The other way that personally helped me was through teaching others. Nikielewa concept vizuri and it's a difficult concept. Naenda naita watu naambia kama I teach you, I tell you about this. So unavyo repeat ile concept inafanya nini? Inakaa vizuri zaidi. And then speaking back. Speaking back manake mwalimu amesema pale concept kubwa, nzito, some big jargon. Unarudia kimya kimya. Aha. Okay. So this is hypothalamus. Okay, hypothalamus. When you speak back, inafanya nini? Ina sync. Yeah. So tumesema writing, tumesema visualization. Let's go back to the exams pale. Now kwenye exams, because that is the yardstick, mwisho wa siku finally iko kwenye exams, and that's where you are measured up. Now in exams there are a lot of things to do before exams. There are things to do during exams and things to do after exams. Now in the book we have, in the Successful Campus Living, tumeeleza vizuri sana kwa marefu. I don't have much of the time, but before exam, much as you have prepared, in many colleges they give you time to prepare for exams. In other colleges they call it study break. So make sure kwamba kabla haujaenda kwenye exam you have done all the revisions and you have emphasized on the important parts. In some cases instructors will give you some study questions. Wao wanazitoa eh? We had one instructor who had 9 questions. Alikuwa anatufundisha climatology, weather forecast, and very difficult subject. modeling ya climate, weather change, all that. So he has only 9 questions. Now in the test, 12 questions. Maana kila moja na max. In the test he'll give you 4 questions. In the examinations it brings another 4 questions. Zimebaki ngapi? 3 questions. Zinakuja kwenye supplementary. Mwaka kesho tena same questions. Now one day they took him to task at the Senate and asked him, Professor Zakaria, why do you give same questions to students every year? Then they made a task force to kumuuliza, kumhoji, kufanya uchunguzi. So when he went there, I said, gentlemen, I, same Professor Zakaria, teaching the same subject in the same year of study, different students, why different questions? So yes, siku zote alikuwa na maswali yake hayo 12 tu. Many instructors normally do that. They only change words and semantics. Some gives you a list of all those questions. Now in the universities, we don't do past papers. Those are past. It is not about past things. Kwanza course outline inabadilika, walimu wanabadilika. Don't waste your time with past papers. Sawa, eh? So instead what you do, you look at past questions, not past answers. Some of those students who have written the answers, hamna aliyepata 10 kwa 10. Hata kama alipata 10 kwa 10, sio marking scheme. Kama alipata 8 kwa 10, when you read it, you cannot get 8, you can get 6 kwa 10. So why should you target to get 6 over 10? Why don't you read the original thing? How would you feel? Sisi ambao tulikulia kijijini, sometimes when the mom is eating meat, zamani sio squeeze. Alafu ile nyama ni ngumu, anachukua anatafuna, alafu anakupa wanamalizia. Now at your age, how would you feel? Ukienda leo nyumbani kwenu, mama tunamwamini kabisa kuliko yule aliyeandika ile past paper. Mnahitaji University of Dar es Salaam, how do you call the past papers? DESA. How do you call them nowadays? Kila chuo mna jinsi mnaita zile past materials. How do you call them? Mnahitaji? Okay, whatever it is. So, how do you feel Ali? Umerudi nyumbani, alafu mama, mwanangu karibu, akachukua makande. Akatafuna, chukua mwanangu ule. Unafurahi? Utakula. Hata kama ni baba mzazi hautakula, si ndio? So why should you eat past paper ya mwingine? Ameandika mauchafu yake kule akapata 7 over 10. Na wewe unachukua ile unapiga picha, unaenda kuandika matapisha mwingine 7 over 10. Why don't you read original thing? And then nafshindwa kupata first class, unasema walimu siku hizi wanatunyima marks. Wewe ndio unanyima akili zako kufanya na kuplan things properly. Sawa? Yeah, so before exams, make sure kwamba you know all those possible questions na unazi anticipate. Okay, in this chapter you can ask about this. This could be the answers. And you prepare properly. You arrive at the venue in good time. And then you have everything that it takes to do your exam. Unakuwa fresh. Wale wanaosoma mpaka usiku wanatoboa wanaenda kwenye examination, mara nyingi wao wapati A. Kwa sababu gani? Wana destroy memory. Go there when you're fresh. And if you had started, you had 16 weeks. You had started reading, organizing, planning, you know when exams are, when the tests are. Unajua maswali yaliokuja kwenye test, you don't really stress yourself at exams time. Because the issue there is just memory. If you have a good memory, you just look at the chapter, unaelewa, so here kuna maswali mawili matatu mangapi, some complex concepts, you just make them and you are sure that you get them. So before exam, prepare. During exam, hii mmeambiwa siku nyingi sana. What I can tell you at the universities and colleges ni kwamba cheating is real and it is punishable big time. Kwa sababu kwenye college you are closer to your future than in lower grades. So ukikutwa umeiba at the university, what do? They discontinue you. And then wakikudiscontinue, kama ulikuwa UDOM mko wanafunzi 40,000, kila mtu atajua fulani alikuwa discontinued. Siku ukija sasa umeenda kugombea ubunge wa Makete, umekuwa waziri sasa, waziri wa kilimo, ukitokeza tu jamaa alikuwa anaiba mtihani hili, amekuwa waziri. It haunts you. So don't participate in cheating. Uhitaji kufanya cheating. Na actually in the university huwa kuna mitihani inaitwa open book. Have you ever heard about open book exams? They allow you to go with your books. Kwa hivyo unavyofanya cheating, Kama open book yenyewe unakuruhusu kuingia na vitabu bado haupati A, hiyo cheating yako ya haraka na pressure itakupa kupata A. You're just jeopardizing your future, your integrity, and it will not affect anything of your performance. Ndio maana wanaokopi hawapati first class, wao wanapata. Yule ambaye anapata first class hata asinge copy bado angepata. Ni kwa sababu tu hajashauriwa vizuri. So cheating in higher education has nothing, it haina anything, haisaidii chochote. Kama ni daktari mzuri amepata A, sio kwa sababu amecheat, hata asinge cheat angepata A. Actually ile cheating ina destroy confidence yake. Siku atakapokuwa yuko kwenye theater sasa, atakumbuka alicheat fourth year, kwa hivyo itafanya mikono itetemeke. Kumbe asinge cheat bado alikuwa na uwezo wa kufaulu, na wengine ambao wana cheat bado hawafaulu. So don't waste your time with cheating. How you sit, mnakaga kwenye Gaza zone, huyo anakaa hapa ili angalie. No, don't do that. Sit in front, kaa pale mbele ili uepukane na yale. And you know what instructors do? Mara nyingi sana watu tunafanya hivyo, tunakupa same paper, same questions, tunabadilisha namba. Kwa hiyo unaona ile paper yako ile, question number 1 yako ni number 2 kwa Pastor Eliud, alafu ni number 6 kwa Veronica. Lakini mpaka mnatoka pale wote, wanafunzi wote mnafikiri ni same exam. Ikija una C na umekopi kwa mwingine au umemruhusu mwingine akakopi kwako. So don't waste your time kwa cheating at all. Tumeelewana eh? Yes. And then of course after exams, tukimaliza mtihani hakuna haja ya kufanya postmortem. Wao mnaenda mnakutana, umejibuje lile swali? No need, kwa sababu kuna another exam, si ndio eh? Na uzuri wa system za university, when you have done a semester, umemaliza kabisa. So don't waste your time there. Let me finish with a few things, challenges. Na dakika ngapi? 20. Oh, very good. So I'm doing very well. So let me finish with a few challenges and how to overcome them in campus. Now, when I was young, I thought I could be a good drawer, but I failed. So, msije mkanicheka. So, nowadays, wanafunzi wengi sana wanakaa off campus. And that has a lot of bearings on how you pass. You commute to campus and back. Sometimes you arrive at a class when you are already tired. Tangu ulivyotoka Kimara kwenda Posta, umesimama kwenye mwendo kasi nusu saa, wamekukanyaga, wamekufanya nini, konda amekorofia, unafika pale yani adrenaline imeshakuwa hyper. Ukifika ni siku ya mtihani, concentration na effectiveness is only 80%. How do you overcome challenge ya commuting? It is a fact and it is not new. Utakapoanza kazi hautahamia kwenye hostel ya kazini. Mimi ofisi zangu ziko hapo Vodacom Towers, hawajanipa chumba pale chini nikae pale. So the real life is you walk somewhere and you sleep somewhere. So just get used to it. Sawa eh? Mimi sikufaulu kwa sababu nilikuwa nakaa off campus, nilikosa hostel. Kwenye kazi hautapata hostel kazini. So make sure kwamba you plan and allow good time for you to move to the venue. Kama ni kwenye lecture, be there at least 5 or 10 minutes before. Cool down. Ili instructor anapokuja umeshajiandaa so that you can take the introductions. If you miss the introductions, you will not know where the car is going. Can you imagine you go to Magufuli and all buses are not branded? Badala kuingia pale anapoanzia ukaenda kituo kinachofuata kwa Komba. Ikaja basi ya kwanza ukaingia. Kisa tu kwa sababu ni Da Express, unafikiri naenda Arusha, kumbe naenda Songea. So when you catch up with the lecture, the first word from the instructor is very important. Sawa eh? Yes. Kuhakikisha you are seated in good time so that you can know his introduction, his coastline and all those other things. Overcome the challenge of commuting by allowing yourself more time. Kama ni mchana, don't rush. Go there quite early. Move closer to the venue. Lecture inaanza saa 8. Nenda pale angalau saa 7:30, kaa nje, plan shughuli zako pale karibu, ili muda ukifika tu, you don't need to move 10 kilometers. There are other campuses which are really big. In Udom, from one school to another school, 10 kilometers. Ukienda Kenyatta University, from one school to another school, almost 15 kilometers, pakubwa. So allow yourself time. Na hii is a concept. Oxford pale, from one school to another school ni kama kutoka hapa mpaka Mbagala. Because the university and the city are the same. Humo watu wanakaa, humo kuna nini, yani Oxford ni Oxford humo. Hapo umefika Department of History, hapo umefika sijui stand ya basi, umefika sijui wapi, supermarket, hapo chemistry department. So allow yourself time so that you are at the right place in good time. Sawa Usifanye mambo ya uzembe ya kwenda darasani una rush, una sweaty, you don't know where they started, unafika unaanza kuandika. No, you'll swallow wrong concept. You don't follow the concept, you cannot know what the question was about. You answer, you have the answers. Wako nasema elimu ni ufungua maisha, si ndio? Ndio tulikuwa tuna discuss jana kwamba ndio ni ufungua, lakini sasa mlango sasa. Yeah, okay? So then kuna wale ambao wanakaa campus au outside, your roommates. Your roommate anaweza aka contribute 50% ya performance yako, positively or negatively. If you have a bad roommate, he'll stress you to death. Kisa tu kwa sababu mlitoka naye Msalato, mnafikiri sasa mnaweza mkakaa naye mkiwa chuoni pia. Ameshakuwa mtu mzima, ameshaota mapembe huyo, achana naye. You have different life aspirations. You shouldn't waste your time. Au mama amesema kule Songea kwamba tumbebe. Mimi niko second year, yeye amekuja first year. Achana naye. Live your life. Make a proper choice of your roommate. Kama wamekupangia umefika Mabibo au Hostel 7 ukakuta huyu ndio roommate, fine. You can at least stomach it for semester 1, semester 2, achana naye. Live your own. Don't swallow unnecessary stress. Umepanga kule, anakuja anataka umbebe, hafagii, hafanyi nini, hachangii. He's just giving you problems, achana naye. So make sure kwamba you are responsible for your own life. Don't allow your roommates to. There are many other challenges, one of which I honestly must say ni hii challenge ya relationships. Friends. Remember, you went to study. Friends are good and great, but they shouldn't take your time and focus in education. Make sure you have very good relationships with people, because it is at this age that you are really making networks and connecting with people, men and women, people of different sexes. But don't be a slave of your friend. Wewe ni mtu, be responsible for yourself. We sent one of our mdogo wangu wa kike, zamani tu sana tu, wakati ndo hii concept of campus inaanza, kwenda kusoma Sauti. Oh, that sister of ours stressed us. First year akazaa mtoto wa kwanza, second year akazaa mtoto wa pili. Kwa sababu gani? Alivyofika St. Augustine by that time, wanafunzi wa kike 40% walikuwa na cohabit na wanaume. Yani anasoma alafu anaishi na mwanamume kama mume wake. Kwa what happens? Wakifika jioni, wakati huyu mwingine anasoma, yeye anaosha vyombo, anapika, anafanya nini, anamfulia. He does everything like a housewife. Kesho yake anafanya same examination. And then shule ikiisha, hata amuoe, hana habari naye. Na hata yule dada yangu, wale wa anko zangu tunawalea tu, yule jamaa wala hakumuoa, hata tujui alipo. Very bad. Be responsible for your future. Guard your relationships. Make sure you kwamba una good relationship, na hizo bad relationships, ugly and very ugly relationships, achana nazo. Focus on what you are doing. So hizi challenges ni nyingi. Actually hizi cartoons, all of them ni real cases ambazo nilikutana nazo campus. Hii hapa kulikuwa na bwana moja tunakaa naye. I shouldn't say some of the names, but he had a wrong roommate. This man was very drunkard. Kuna wanafunzi wanakunywa pombe, si ndio? Sana, it's a big problem. They really drink themselves stupid. So this day, this roommate of him went and really drank himself stupid. Kulikuwa na party ya freshers ball. Wakija first year wanaandaa muziki, si ndio? Wanafanyaga freshers ball. Wale wa miaka ya nyuma wanataka wa destroy wale wa miaka ya chini. Pale University of Dar es Salaam, this is an interesting case. Zamani sana kuna dada alijinyonga, ndio maana waliondoa freshers ball pale. Bad, very bad thing. So kwenda kucheza freshers ball, you went to study. Focus on your studies. Na don't yield kwenye peer pressure. Mwalimu atakayekuja baadaye will talk more about those. Let me not get into that. Lakini huyu bana, roommate wake alienda akanywa pombe kweli akaja. Alivyokuja saa 9 akalala. Saa 10 akaamka kwenda toilet. Jamaa alivyoamka kumbe amefika toilet, kumbe ameelekea kwenye sikio la mwenzake. Hiyo case nilikuwa president. Ikaja mpaka kwa dean of students. Ilibidi yule bana tumfukuze chuo. It took this guy waliyemkojolea sikioni kuahirisha mwaka psychologically. Kila akitokeza hoya brother ilikuwaje? Tunajua mambo ya wanafunzi. Vipi ilipita mdomoni? Au ilishia sikioni tu? Akaamua kufanya nini? Kuahirisha mwaka kwa sababu ya stress hiyo. Yeah? So character za hao watu, what they do, pombe, picha mbaya. Yeah? There this other guy ambaye yeye roommate wake alikuwa anaweka picha, ukiingia unadhani danguro. So bad. So make sure kwamba you have control of where you are staying. Your room is neat, is clean, because that one, how your room is organized is how your brain is organized. It is also eliciting your thinking. Kama chumani kwako kuna vitu vya ajabu, si machupa ya bia, picha si ya Arsenal, si nini, matatu, si watu wamekaa uchi, wakati wa kuandika exam, hayo ndio yatazunguka kwenye kichwa. Oh yes. Huwezi kupata A na vitu kama hivyo. Now therefore, I want you to take away these 3 questions. Number 1, what will you do to realize your academic goal? Number 2, what will you do differently? What will you do differently? And number 3, how can we best help you out? Tukusaidie wapi? Unakwama wapi tukusaidie? We are here to help you. So for the remaining 2-3 minutes, any question? Now therefore, because huwa hamnyoshi haraka kama Ghana na Kenya na Nigeria, let me ask Madam Veronica for if there is anything you want to add or contribute, and then Pastor Roy, and then kama kuna swali tunaliaddress tunamaliza. Karibu.
Yeah, we are going to talk much, I'm sure, in the next session. But what is giving you, I wish somebody had given us before we went to the university. Because in those years, nobody cared to give us a lecture. Much as we really did well, but if we were given this kind of teachings, we could be very, very far. So take them very important, note them down, and work on them. It will be a waste of time if you came here, you've written, and you don't do anything. But I'm very sure those of us who will leave this place and do the right thing, then you will really appreciate this kind of short seminar that we've had today. Thank you very much. I think I'll borrow your notes to go and teach my children. There are many things I've learned today.
Asante sana. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sokile, for this powerful presentation and good lecture. On my side, I don't have much to mention because most of them has been well elaborated here. But what I can insist is that make sure that you have a vision of your life in the college. That is very key. whenever, I believe most of you are already in colleges, but for those who are starting, make sure you start your life in college with a vision. That will determine on how you will prioritize and how you will have proper concentration in the things which matter the most. That is what I can mention for these few minutes. Thank you very much, sir.
Good. Asante sana. Fine. Any question? Kama amna question, let us end here. Thank you so very much. Karibu, Pastor Eliud.